Hello guys and welcome on into another episode on how to train your dragon. Today we're gonna be showing you what to do if your dragon misbehaves and doesn't use the litter box. Was that production? Oh, this isn't how to train your dragon. Oh, okay. These are mythic keys. Okay. Sorry. Hello guys and welcome on into another episode of Mythic Plus keys. Today we're gonna be covering, well, a more recent key than the ones I've previously uploaded.
Echoing thrust.
Very interesting week actually. I'm sorry that I'm covering half of the screen with my bag. I don't know why. Sometimes I get into the habit of leaving it open. It's actually pretty bad because it really like reduces the vision by quite a lot, but it is what it is. But yeah, this was a pretty interesting week, honestly. Pretty good week for priests, I would say. With just like a lot of opportunity to get a lot of value out of priests. I just like this one with bursting, I feel like this one was just the same. And the reason is, well, basically the reason is mostly explosive, but it's also in a way bolstering, because like I'm thinking about, you know, just healers in general. There's no healer that really counters bolstering per se, but at least as priests we can help tank a bit with the bolstering. Like I can knock them, I can fear them, you know, we have some sort of sense of self-control, like of control.
Volatile trap.
That being said though, like it's not like other healers don't, you know, anything like stun or any sort of knock or anything that you can help out your tanks and your group in general, of course helps. But also we do have Rupture, which, you know, works in a way that it prevents damage from even happening in a sense of shields, so... But what I mean by that is, like, let's create a hypothetical scenario. Let's say there is a bolstered mob that randomly throws a spell at people. And let's say it deals 40k damage on a 20 key. And if it's bolstered, normally that damage would normally kill you, but what healer can prevent that? Well, it's usually priest, I would say, like, because we have a dome, we have shields, just overall a pretty good toolkit to deal with these overwhelming amounts of damage. And here we kind of messed up this pull. I'm not really sure what happened with the tank. He just died, I guess, lack of CDs. I guess I could have healed a bit more as well. I don't know. Like it was very weird. It was pretty weird. I kind of took a look there, and I was just kind of trying to see if there was anything I could have done better. And honestly, like besides casting Boon, which I don't think would have healed the tank in the first place anyway, I don't think there was much to be done from my perspective. But yeah, as you can see, this slowly turned into a disaster. And I will say one more interesting thing about this key that some of you might have noticed by now, some of you might have not, but we do not have a Ventir in this group. This is gonna be Sanguine depths without Ventir on a level 20 Tyrannical with 10 deaths in the first 4 minutes. So the point, I guess, is, you know, if anybody ever feels like they cannot time these keys or whatever, just maybe notice how you don't even have to play that perfect in order to time them. It's I hope this doesn't come off like as arrogant or something. I don't know, like it's not as scary as some people think. I remember when I used to be a worse player, I was simply scared to go higher, you know. I was like, nah, I'm not good enough, I can't do it. But like, you don't know that until you try, and don't try once, fail, and say, okay, I just cannot, you know. You gotta be a little bit determined, you know. It's not gonna just happen. You need to fail, you need to learn and stuff like that. But yeah, if you do it enough, you'll eventually get good enough and you will be able to time these keys, even with horrible mistakes like these that we just made. Like, this was completely so essentially what really happened, like, if you want to go into in-depth analysis of why we died there, I guess on the first sight it's easy to blame tank or healer for like not using RCDs optimally, and you wouldn't be entirely wrong, but the real reason why we kind of had the problems is because we bolstered mobs a little bit too much, so tank had to use more CDs and live longer, and same with me as a healer, and that effectively meant that we were just dry on this pool, and this pool is hard. That Tormentor is by far the hardest Tormentor, and he is just like reducing healing by a lot. So when you have a healer that doesn't heal as much and you have a tank that relies on self-healing to stay alive, you can see how that can be a problem. So it's just, you know, it's just a very, like, we just needed to kill mobs a little bit more evenly, but we didn't for whatever reason. Maybe it's because our DH died, maybe it's because we just didn't prio right targets. It's a small detail that, you know, in retrospective it's easy to say that that was very important, but at the time I guess we didn't really think about it, and it just kind of ended up being a little bit too much, which happens. It's no biggie, we learned, right? And luckily we didn't lose that much time. It was at the start. Yeah, sure, 10 that's hurt, but we lost maybe what, like 2 minutes there at most, which is a lot, but at the same time it's not that much. It's kind of like medium ground for this level of key, provided you have good DPS, which we do. Like, if you look at the meters, these guys are like all above 10k on the overall, which is good enough even for, I would say, higher keys. Maybe even 21s, 22s, 23s even. We definitely can recover, so we just said let's keep going, you know. It's a rough start, sure, but we can make it through with power of love and friendship, you know what I mean. Alright, let's see what else is there to mention here. Of course, a very hard boss. I'm probably gonna sit here and drink a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's just, you know, discipline priest things. Nobody likes to sit and do nothing, but sadly it's needed when you play with priests. I've been even finding like running out of mana on paladin is not impossible nowadays, until you get those like mana balls. Okay, I'll explain this boss. So few things are important on this boss as a priest. First, you need to have a CD for every Severing Smash on Tyrannical. You can that. I don't know, maybe if you're a god you can somehow salvage it without CDs, but like Shadow Mending and Atonement Healing is not gonna save you from Severing Smash. It's way too much damage. So like, you can do two things. You can either learn how to do that cheesy little thing with what do you call it, with like where you essentially, what I've heard people do is like they will line up all the balls together at the same angle, and then they will kite together and basically make like a little train of balls that are just gonna like levitate everywhere and never hit anybody. So I guess you could do that. I personally haven't ever tried doing that. I'm not against it, like I'm not saying, you know, you shouldn't or whatever. If you know how to do it, but I've heard it's a pretty precise strat, and that like if it fails it will fail miserably. So for 20 I don't think we need it. Maybe for like if we wanted to do a 24, 25, yeah, but yeah, we're still not at that level. So here it was a little bit risky. I actually probably should not have done that. I wanted to soak one, and then I said to myself like, yeah, you can do one more. There's no, like, I checked though. The important thing to say there is like I didn't just take them without checking. Like, I checked if there's gonna be more mechanics incoming, and when I saw there isn't, that's when I soaked them. I didn't just go in and, you know, say YOLO and just, you know, that's, never do that, like, obviously, especially as a healer. I mean, don't be that guy. And here, so important thing to note is it doesn't matter where you soak the balls. What's important is that people sit in domes, so you can basically, there's a lot of ways to utilize barrier in this fight. One of them is like I showed. There's probably a few different versions and stuff, but overall this was a very well executed, from my perspective, a very well executed Kryxis, and a very cool boss, actually. I have a very big tendency to kind of like this boss
Curse of
because
suppression.
when the
Curse of
first push
suppression.
key I ever done, so like the first key I went above 16, my old
Curse of
guildies took
suppression.
me to a higher key, and it was just like a weekly no lever, and they needed a healer, and I asked them to take me, and I wasn't good enough then, just to be clear. And we just got stuck. It was Tyrannical Sanguine, of course, and we could
Curse
not
of
beat the
suppression.
first boss, so we like kept trying and trying and trying, and eventually we got it. And I'll just always just remember that moment, because that's what allowed me to see the difference between these like normal keys that we do and these like higher keys that people do, and then kind of like learn where I am in a safe environment. That's the key part, I think. It's in a safer environment, because when you're playing with friends, you know, like in pugs, there's often, this was done by the way, don't ever greed for hit like this. This was really stupid. I greeded for Mind Blast as well, like it's such an irrelevant cast there. I wanted to do Mind Blast because Mind Blast usually helps tanks a little bit, because it creates like a reverse absorption on the target they're hitting, and this guy does hit quite hard, so I just thought it would help, but it's not worth you dying, because on Fortified Weak you're dead there, so don't make bad habits, don't do that. That was my bad. This guy, I mean, here there's really not much to say. I could say pay a little bit more attention to tank here, because the physical reduction, no, it's not physical reduction, it's he increases like the physical damage of everything near him, I believe. I think that's how it works. I'm not entirely sure, to be completely honest, but I think that's how it works. So basically your tank is gonna get clapped by a lot, and this AoE will hurt people on high keys, so you do have to be careful, you know, like on 15, 16, 17, this guy looks like he does nothing basically, but on higher keys he does start to hurt, and you need to like think a little bit about him. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't, to be honest, you don't even need CDs. Radiance plus some smiting and penancing will be enough in most cases. I would also recommend again casting Mind Blast for that little absorb that you get out of it. But overall, it's just worth noting that he can be a danger in higher keys. Other than that, it doesn't really matter that much.
Curse of suppression, dread bindings.
And yeah, here we talked about, like, we're still learning a lot of these pulls, so it's not all of it is not optimal. There's still a lot of optimization we can do. We tried to do some line of sight things, but it didn't really execute it properly. At least I didn't understand actually what we were doing until it was too late. But yeah, the pull itself, it was good. Like, you guys know the drill. Focus Grand Overseer, interrupt Wicked Oppressors, you can CC them, you can... I recommend CCing them first, then interrupting them, so you don't desync their casting. That way you can CC both of them at the same time. Because like if you interrupt one and then you CC them, they will desync the casts, and it will be very awkward in a way. Like they will... I don't know if this makes sense, guys. Like, they cast at the same time most of the time. So if you interrupt both of them, the next time they will cast at the same time again. And now that might seem like a bad idea, right? You might be thinking, oh, but why do I want them to cast at this? Well, the reason why is you want them to be interruptible by an AoE stun at the same time, because if you don't do that, then that's not going to be the case. And here, guys, we just got overwhelmed. We didn't clean explosives well enough. I'm not really sure what happened. Like maybe guys thought I'll handle it and I just didn't. Do as many explosives as I could, but the problem is, like, there's a lot of AoE damage here, so I can't just be dealing with explosives and stuff. But yeah, we actually managed to salvage it. Yeah, dodge that tornado. It hurts a lot. On Fortified it kills, I think, maybe even in one shot, depending on like your gear, your HP, whether you have a shield running and stuff. But dodge tornado. It's hard to see though. Like now it's a storming week, so it's it's even harder. Like it's almost impossible to see and stuff. So just be careful. Like it's not easy to see it, but be aware that it's there, and it will be easier. If that makes sense. Like if you understand that something is there, it gets easier to see it. That's at least the way I like to think of it. And here we proceed. 14 deaths so far, and remember we do not have Ventir, which means our damage is gonna be significantly lower in this dungeon, but we're still going strong, I would say. Doing good. This is my least favorite pool, because people always forget to interrupt barbed shackles for some reason, even though like there's, look at this, I'm just dead here, like look at this. There is nothing I can do here. It's very frustrating. It's I don't know why people forget about barbed shackles. It happens always. Like I don't know if you guys remember, I whined about barbed shackles last time as well. And here I released. I don't think I should have released though. I mean, I didn't really think it through. I think I just got frustrated by barbed shackles. Like nothing pisses me off as dying from barbed shackles. It's just like so unnecessary. But yeah, so basically we realized I fucked up. So I tried to do some suiting stuff here, and it didn't work obviously. Like you cannot, like if you could skip this with just suit, people would be doing that for a very long time. So I just said to myself, you know, I'm just gonna run through. I fear them, and I just needed to make it until here so I can get rezzed, nothing else. And that's what I did achieve. So that was fine. And not the worst thing in the world. It's kind of like not great either. Wasted maybe 20-30 seconds because they couldn't res me in the comment anyway. So. And by the time I got there, they were pretty much done. But either way, don't release like unless you know what you're doing. Like it's pretty stupid most of the time. Like this, that was just dumb. But yeah. Also, I just want to say something. Like, don't forget that in this week,
explosive vellum,
like
fracture.
As a priest, you're a really good class to deal with explosives. So I really try to do as many explosives as I can. That does mean, however, that your numbers will get like negatively altered in a way where you will have significantly less value out of most of your like combos, and we do rely on our combo. Like I call them combos. You know what I mean. Like when we rupture into like boon or shadow fiend into rupture, or just, you know, like if I'm comboing spells, I'm not gonna get as much value because I'm losing global cast by handling explosives. So my atonements will drop off, or the CDs are gonna run out and stuff like that. But that's necessary. Like you kind of have to do that. It's just part of your job, I would say, in a way.
Barbed shackles. Barbed shackles.
And here we interrupted the barbed shackles finally.
Crushing strike.
We did it, boys. But yeah, I think we are a bit behind on time here, mainly because of all these deaths and everything. But it's not that bad. I think like 20-ish minutes here is pretty acceptable. On Tyrannical, I think it's alright. Like it's not the greatest, it's not the worst either. So at this point, like, probably should slowly start thinking about saving CDs.
Explosive
the reason is this boss on Tyrannical is very tricky. Like this boss. I don't know how to explain this boss really. Like it's kind of hard. So the way it works is
explosive vellum.
You basically need to learn to alter your pathing, like go start left or right. You can pick a side. You can pick whichever side you want. It doesn't matter. The side doesn't matter. The point is you need to go left, then right,
Explosive
and you need to
Venom.
position the boss in a way that it allows you to
Barbed
move it
shackles.
backwards
Explosive
without you
Venom.
running out of space. Because there's gonna be a point in the tunnel where if you reach it ever, you're gonna have both balls
Barbed
reach you at the
shackles.
same time, and you never want to get to that point. So
Explosive Venom.
I mean,
Rushing
as long as you're
strike.
not moving like maniacs and you have decent damage, like you're not gonna get there.
Explosive
But
Barbed
I would
shackles.
suggest that you pay a little bit attention to that and just like don't over move but don't under move
Rushing
either.
strike.
Make sure you always have
Explosive
space
venom. Barbed
behind the
shackles.
boss for exactly one melee, because that's important, because if they get castigate they need to still be able to hit. Like you cannot just sacrifice 1 DPS and have him go away, like especially a melee one. Like you want them to hit and you want them to just keep going with the damage while soaking castigate. I'll show you what I mean. I think we're gonna have that happen here probably. But yeah, the boss is really simple. So you just alternate these balls. As a healer, make sure you save some resources or a CD to keep people alive during
Oros
castigation.
manifestation.
Sorry about that. I apologize, guys. But yeah, and of course, when the ad spawns, nuke the like. I hate that I need to amplify the importance of this, but I mean it. Like when I say nuke the ad, it deals AoE damage. It's very strong, and there is a few times during the fight that it's gonna
Oros
overlap with the castigate, which makes it basically unhealable. Kill the ad. Ad needs to die before castigate even basically gets off. Like you need to, yeah. It is what it is. Just kill the ad. It doesn't matter if the boss takes longer. At least you won't die. It's as simple as that. The way I see it, at least. People sometimes overcomplicate. They think about this, that. No, it doesn't matter. Just kill the ad. It's that simple. It does not have that much HP. Even on 20 Tyrannical, let's see how much HP it has. It has like what? Yeah, 170k. That's very easily killable. That is like a Courtier mob, dude. Just kill that. Kill it, okay?
Residue.
Don't wipe because you were lazy to switch target or you thought you can zerg boss or something. And yeah, Cheeser here takes a good position, but Dev moved a little bit late. It's when you get castigate, the best thing you can do is just move behind the boss, and that is the reason why we all stay in front of the boss. You just yeah. And here I basically said here to go nuke the ad. The guys decided to go for the boss, and we almost wiped because of that. As you saw, like if I died, maybe somebody else would die, and then it could have been bad. But luckily we didn't, so we beat the boss. It was pretty smooth. But that's what I mean. Like towards the end, if the ad spawns, like unless the boss really has like 100k HP or something, like I would still nuke the ad. I don't care. It's safer. Like why risk it? You know what I mean? Like why risk it to save 10 seconds? It's not worth it. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's a dumb decision, but it is what it is. Kill explosions here. I'm just letting these stack up so I can get max value out of my mass dispel, and here I did like a nice quadruple fear interrupt. Don't forget that. Like I think a lot of priests forget, including myself, that we can use fear as interrupt. Not always. Like on some mobs it doesn't work, but a lot of mobs are prone to being feared, so you can just fear a lot of spells that are not normally interruptible and get a lot of value out of your spell. It's a pretty pog spell. It's really good. I feel like if you're good at using fear, you could even take the fear talent. Like honestly, I've never tried it, but I feel like you could. You could also take that conduit that fears things after the fear. Sorry, I said fear stings after the fear. Wow, really? It fears. You know what I mean, though. It's a slow conduit. It slows a lot after the fear. It's like what, 60% or something, if I remember correctly. So you could go for that. It's nice. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. It's a big slow. So you could utilize it as a slow. Like for example on Fortified Weeks, if you slow a pack, with your fear, you can just like give them like a perma being slow and stuff. It's just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't recommend doing it. I don't think a lot of people run with it, but you can just do it. And yeah, here this boss probably one of the hardest to heal in the whole expansion, together with Dealer, in my opinion. And here I just yoinked all the balls. We don't really organize these balls very much, so yeah. Oh, that was a bit of a scuffed organization, but we all lived, so there's that. You need 3, technically 4 to be safe. And also don't forget to take the last one towards the end. That's what I learned last time. Because you can see like it refreshes timer. It refreshes timer, so basically you want the buff to last throughout this phase as well. Which is also why I'm taking so much damage, because as you can see my buff ran out, so I was just dying to dot. So you kind of want to avoid that as much as you can, although it's not easy. But yeah, you can try, obviously. And yeah, just try to I would say if you have multiple classes that have a way to negate the damage, use them. So like if you have a frost mage, then you're really in a good spot. If you have there was nothing I can do for him, but I had no spells there that I could cast while moving. But if you have if you have these abilities like I don't know, dampen magic or karma or that sort of like dispersion or immunity or anything, you can skip one rotation of taking the balls, so other people get more balls to negate the damage. And you're immune one set, and then you rotate, then the other person immunes, and then the other person immunes, and that way you make healer's job much easier, which is also why Holy Pala is pretty awesome as well, because you can bubble and then you can sack and you can you just do a lot of cool things. Paladin is a bit better for this boss, I feel. But I don't normally struggle with priest either. Yeah, it was a bit tight, but we made it.
It will never leave this prison.
Volatile trap. Volatile trap. Curse of suppression. Curse of suppression.
None have ever escaped the Sanguine depths, and neither will you! Gods, slay them all!
Alright, so before heading into the sorry for like a little bit of silence. I was actually I just started daydreaming about something. I was like, I got lost in my thoughts. But as you can see, this pool looks quite messy so far. This was a really messy pool. We lost Cheeser, which puts us in a weird spot because we do not have a CR, and you cannot really disengage from combat here, so yeah, it's not looking good. And then the overlap happened with this yeah, we just, I don't know why I honestly don't really know why we're taking this much damage here. I think it's bolstering, like it's really shredding the tank and then everybody else in turn. Like something to keep in mind with tank healing is people sometimes don't understand this, but as a healer you have a limited amount of HPS you can do, right? So basically the less damage DPS takes, the more healing I can pump into tank and vice versa. So like if tank is getting shredded, normally I'm gonna heal tank. So if a DPS takes extra damage, then I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna heal them. It's just not really feasible, and sometimes it's hard to explain that. Like if you haven't played healer, it's not easy to understand that concept. But dodging damage is like the best way to increase survivability. I mean, okay, that sounds way too obvious, but it goes like both ways. It's not as simple as like dodge damage to survive. It's also dodge damage to deal more damage, and then in turn take less damage, and it's like a perpetual motion of like importance of dodging damage. That is why damage reduction or interrupts are always gonna outvalue just pure DPS, because if pure DPS was more important than interrupts, then people would never interrupt, they would just DPS. But sometimes by interrupting certain things you ensure like your safety, and you ensure that you do not need to pop your defensives or something, and you can just keep attacking. So yeah, it's important to do mechanics. It's important to kind of keep these things in mind, especially as you go higher and higher into the keys or into your mythic raids and stuff. Like, it's just simple math, really. It's not even, it's like a elementary school math. Maybe not elementary school because it has percentages, but I mean, you do learn percentages in elementary, so I guess yeah, you could say that. It's just something to think about. Like, mechanics will always outweigh pure damage, but at the same time that doesn't mean if you have bad damage and you do mechanics good that you're doing good. Ideally you want to have both as you like advance as a player, but yeah, we had a little bit of an awkward overlap here. We needed to find a gap there. It was hard to see, but we did it. And as you can see, like, we're looking good despite the horrible start, despite like what looks like we're gonna wipe in the tunnel, and everything looked pretty scary, and it just seemed like we might not be able to make it through, but we did. And there's one boss remaining, right? General Kaal. And honestly, General Kaal is probably one of the easier ones, to be honest. It's it's a boss that a lot of people underestimate and then they pay. So Wicked Rush still needs to be dodged or at least addressed. You cannot just ignore that ability. And here we almost died to Trap and Explosive, but yeah, we just got a little bit sloppy towards the end. But yeah, this pack shouldn't be a problem, really. This pack is pretty straightforward. And as I said, onto the boss. So I have like a neat little weak aura that Bruken once shared with me that basically gives you a timer to dodge Kaal. I would advise against going too much out of your way to dodge it, but at the same time, if you can, you should, because if you get 2 stacks, it actually hurts quite a bit, as you will see now. Okay, so watch. So as you see, rush in, and I started moving a little bit too late because I was the first one. I should have known. I could have also made more distance from Kaal, so I failed to dodge there. And then I got another Wicked Rush, so I basically popped my boon. I went here, and I got clapped twice, and I died. So, but that's very like, that's kind of unfortunate. So like, I walked into, or he walked into me. Like, I guess we both walked into each other with Wicked Rush, and I just got hit 3 times and I died. So we had no CR, so we had to just reset here, and that was that was kind of annoying, because like it could have meant that we don't time the key, But luckily, as you can see, we still had a lot of time over. Like a lot time over. And luckily we all had potions apparently, so we just kind of squeezed back through and made our way back, and we still managed to time it. It was an adventure for sure though. We did not really enjoy this wipe. This was very cringy. Made me also feel bad because I feel like I failed, but in reality, like it's a bit of RNG, and then the mistake was like as I was trying to dodge Wicked Rush, I walked into another Wicked Rush, and I guess Cheezer was trying to do the same. Like he was probably trying to dodge his Wicked Rush and just like I got hit by it. I don't know. You guys can rewind and see what really happened. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't make a mistake. I probably did. To be fair, I could have dodged the first one and then it would have been fine. But yeah. Basically, that was a bit of a bad wipe, but we still like, so we had two full wipes? And me releasing like a moron once, and then... But yeah, you see here, like, okay, if you rewind that, like, if you guys wanna go back and rewind that and watch that in slow motion. Both my bat and then watch this, so that, like, you're dodging this, and it's cool, and it's great. But what can happen is you can get 2 Wicked Rush hits on somebody, and that person is gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Shining Radiance.
A lot of trouble, so... Maybe it's... I don't know. It's hard to say, like, you just have to be careful. Like, dodging is great if your class has a way to dodge. Just make sure you're dodging as it's already flying towards you. Don't dodge her into somebody else, because the spell has 2 phases. It has like this tracking phase. Like it has a queue up system, it selects you, and then it has this phase where it goes like bzzz towards you. And you need to get out of the circle from after the bzzz phase, when it goes like boom. So you need to dodge the boom part, you don't dodge the bzzz part. And it's hard to time, like in general, if you just move, as you can see, like I just moved, but somebody else got the dot now. See, like somebody else walked into the dot and got the double dot and stuff like that. So it's just like, you need to be careful with positioning on that. It's this boss is not easy. It's good they nerfed this boss, because honestly, like, Sanguine Depths had a lot of other hard bosses, and we really did not need this boss to be hard as well. Like, literally every boss is hard in this dungeon. This is the easiest one, and this one is like
Shining Radiance.
Few times harder than some other bosses in the dungeons. Like, I don't know. Compare this boss to like any boss in Halls, and in my opinion, this boss is harder like than any boss in Halls, and it's the easiest one of this dungeon. So that's what I mean. Like, it's pretty unbalanced, but yeah, it is what it is. But it's a hard boss, my point is, and you need to be a little bit careful with it. Kyrian file does help though, so if you have Kyrians, it'll make your job easier and stuff like that. There's also immunities. If you're playing with a paladin, you can also get bopped and stuff. There's just a lot you can do, but I'm just saying, like, be careful. Respect this boss. Don't disrespect this boss and then end up wiping like we did and regretting it. And yeah. And here I died again. I mean, just very sloppy play from me. I don't know, like, it felt like I ran out of space. But yeah, guys, I just want to say, like, thank you for watching. This was my Sanguine 20 for first time. That's why I got achievement +7. Yay, feels good. I rolled to top 10 on my server as a disc priest soon, hopefully. We can't really push much though, because I was working on paladin. I'll upload some paladin keys soon as well. But I just want to thank you guys for all the support, all the recent subs and everything. I'll probably look into like uploading a disc guide sometime in the future. And yeah, you know, comment, like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Any sort of feedback is appreciated very much, guys. So thank you for that, and thank you for the support. Have a good day. Bye, guys. Stay beautiful.